wanted to touch this just because it's been talked about so much lately. I am joined today by Tom. Tom, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. He does exactly like, whatever. You may or may not see a dog running around in the background. I'm still raising a puppy right now, so that may or may not happen. What you been doing so far today, man?
Today, God, I don't even know. What have I been doing?
You were too young to not know.
No. Once you have 2 back surgeries, your brain.
I always forget that.
Yeah. I'm 27, but my back is 80.
Wow.
Yeah, just been doing office stuff.
Office stuff.
Yep. Drinking some coffee. There's a fox.
What do we got? Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense.
That is an actual fox.
It makes me happy that my puppy is not outside right now. That's a definite yeah. Anyway, yeah, you got a message from me last night saying let's do some podcasts. So I think we're gonna knock out like 2 or 3 today, something like that. My day so far, when I'm home here, get my kids to school, do that stuff. I got some work done. I was up early, knocking some stuff out. Nice little run in the rain, which is not fun, but it's worth it. I mean, when you're done, you feel like a champ, so that's always a good thing. But I want to talk a little bit about, and this is so crazy because I asked you about this beforehand. I was going to say, unless you've had your head under a rock, like you've heard of ChatGPT, but then I said to you beforehand, and I'm like, hey man, what are your thoughts on ChatGPT? And your response to me was to look at me like I had 3 heads.
That's perfect.
Like there was something wrong. Like, what are you talking about? So you have not heard about this at all.
I have apparently lived under a rock.
That's unreal because for those of you that haven't heard about it, you should probably go look it up. A lot of major names are talking about it. It's one of the most talked about things on the news and otherwise. It's the quickest download, I think, of anything in the history of our world. Like it got to 1 million downloads quicker than Crazy Birds or Angry Birds or whatever it's called, which was like the previous record. It got to 1 million downloads like way quicker than Facebook did, way quicker than any of these places did. And I actually look at it, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard about it, you should probably go look it up. ChatGPT, G is in Grayson, my son, P is in parent, T is in tractor. I don't know, ChatGPT. I actually think it's a threat to Google, which you never thought would happen. But I mean, essentially it's AI, and we've heard all about this, and we've been hearing about it coming, and we've been hearing about all the fearful things. I remember listening to a Joe Rogan interview with Elon Musk, where he talked about AI and where it's going, artificial intelligence, for anybody that's wondering. And he talked about artificial intelligence and where it's going. And there's a lot of debate out there about, is it good or is it bad? Because these things literally get so smart that they literally start to think like a human and they reason like a human. The only difference is they're smarter than you, like they're, it's crazy. I actually went in and started playing around with it. And I think most school and college, whatever, I think this is an absolute just like death toll to colleges, because essentially you can go in there and say, write me you could be an 8th grader and say, write me an article on the American Revolution as if I'm an 8th grader. 500 to 600 words, and it will immediately. And I'm telling you, the stuff you see it kick out, you're just going, what do we need it for anymore? Like, it's unreal. Then you take that. So I did that as a joke because I was showing my son, and I was just like, okay, let's do this. Okay, as if I'm a sophomore in high school, write me an article on blah, 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 whatever it was, the Chinese, this and that. And I did whatever. And it wrote up this thing, and I'm going, holy crap, like that's pretty unreal, right? And then I said, okay, now put that in bullet points. I need to know the 7 bullet points of why, and it went into whatever. And then I went on there and I said, I weigh this much. I'm trying to lose this much. I'm trying to get my body fat down to this. My lean, you literally talk to it like a person. You're like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I said, give me a meal plan for the next week, what that's going to look like in order for me to start doing that. It kicks it out. I said, okay, now can you put that in table format? So that I can actually see a tabled format of what I'm doing each day, Monday through Sunday, put that in a format for me in table format so I can see each day what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, what the results are going to be, whatever. Boom, 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 puts it all together. And I'm like, what do I need to go pay someone for that for? Like, that's, what I mean? Like, that's insane. Yep. And from a school perspective, they've already started creating systems now to try to get around where, a kid's going to be able to be in college and be like, write me a thesis as if I am Einstein smart. And it will immediately, like, I was watching someone yesterday and they said, write a rap that Tupac would, as if it was in Tupac's voice doing, and it's like the lyrics that come up and you're like, this is insane. Like, this is insane. Like what this thing is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think about that and you think about it from a school perspective, writing papers and everything else. And now they've tried to create these other sites that are able to search and see, like, was this done through ChatGPT? But now these other sites that you put your thing back through that says make it non-ChatGPT lookalike, or what you can actually do is you can take that whatever it came up with, you create some kind of a you copy and paste it, you take it out, you put it into something else, and now you just switch it up a bit, switch up some words, you switch up some whatever. But like literally the man hours that used to be needed for all of this stuff from a schooling perspective, it's like, remember when you were in whatever grade, and remember when I don't think I have it on me. Do I not have my phone on me? I don't think I do. What did I do with my phone? Did I leave it somewhere? You would literally, I think it's plugged in. You want to just grab it? We don't care, guys. We're just, who cares? They can see you get up. It's no big deal. And that's how you know that there's a pup there. What's that?
Or they can't.
Yeah, exactly. So remember when you were in middle school or high school or, whatever those things were, right? And remember when you were told, you need to know this because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket, right? And then, hello, like not the case anymore. Like you absolutely have right? We're now getting to a place where everything, like it used to be, like Google made information a commodity. Google made information non-relevant. I mean, it's like, okay, I need to know who's the 16th president, blah, 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 Abraham Lincoln, right? It's like, okay, so I guess I didn't need to memorize that. It's right there. This is a different level though. The reason why I think this is such a, to me, this is like a competitor to Google. And look, Google and all these places are already working on AI as we, like ChatGPT came first and it's amazing. And by the way, there were other ones that were released. Microsoft released one back in, I want to say 2015, but it went a little haywire and it started doing bad things and it started posting bad things on Twitter. And there was all these things that were happening. And basically the smarts got ahead of it and it turned into something very bad, which is the fear everybody has when these things start, but having said that, Google is nothing but a search history,
right?
Like it's a, okay, tell me what's going on with search, right?
Yep.
This essentially is talking to a person and following instructions and creating,
right?
Like that is like, it's like those movies that you get scared of or whatever, right? Where people are doing things and the machine takes over, but they're smarter than you and they're, and so there's been all this talk about, okay, well, what is this going to do? Like, how does this affect things? How does this, is this going to affect jobs?
Probably.
Is it going to affect jobs? Is it going to take away jobs? Like how much, if you're in the field of, I don't know, you're writing content for people or you're writing, marketing, I saw somebody jump on there. Actually it was, what's his name? Brunson, Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
And he got on there and he said, give me 12 hooks for a marketing campaign where I'm promoting blank and create scarcity and he whatever. And it wrote the 12. And he's like the guy for this stuff. Yep. And he looked at him and you just saw his face and he was like, oh God, these are very good. Like it's insane. Yeah. Right. And so whenever this kind of stuff happens, people are always like, well, this is going to take away jobs. This is it's like when factories, are no longer used as much. It's like, well, there goes jobs. But the question is, does it take away jobs or does it add? Like, meaning when you look at all of the different revolutions, right? You had coal in the 1700s, you had the second industrial revolution, gas in the 1800s, you had the third industrial revolution, which was electronics and nuclear in like 1969. You had the fourth industrial revolution, which was the internet and renewable energy in 2000. And like the question is now, is the next one now AI? Like, does it change everything? Because I think it definitely changes jobs. Yep. Because a lot of the jobs that people are doing now, jobs were already affected when contracting became available.
Right.
You know, like when you look at the number of things that I contract out, look at the stuff I'm teaching agents and stuff. And I'm like, hey, you don't need to go get someone full-time to do that. Just go over here and, you know, jump on Upwork.com. You'll get someone in Indonesia to do it for $5 an hour, who's got ratings, who's got reviews, who's an expert on US tax law, that's, you know, working in the middle of the night while you're, you know, whatever. Like, it's a different world. Like, you don't have to, you know, I've got people that, you know, like when I moved into my house, it was like, I'm just going to jump on TaskRabbit. I had college kids out there putting goalposts together and it just changes everything. Right. So in a sense, you know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and like his business was essentially crushed by that. But then he now makes more money on those sites than he does because he adjusted.
Yep.
It's taxi Uber.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, well, Uber's killed taxi, but Uber's also created Uber. You know, so it's like, well, there's another opportunity. So the question becomes with this, like, you know, I've seen all the questions. They're like, is this going to, you know, kill a lot of jobs? Yeah. Duh. Absolutely. Right.
Sure.
It's like when my brother he didn't just have to know how to fix cars anymore. Now he had to understand computers to fix cars, which is a completely different thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's, you have to adjust, guys. This is the marketplace. You have to adjust. You know, for those of you in real estate listening right now, you remember, you know, I remember back when I was my mother's unpaid assistant, we had MLS books. We had this thick MLS book. Like, for those of you that think that Zillow and the internet is outdated with listings, try working with an MLS book. You know, there's a different thing for you. That's outdated. And, you know, we are essentially still selling homes. We're still essentially whatever, but how we do it has changed. And that's annoying. That's, you know, whatever, but it's the truth.
Yep.
You know, I'm going around right now and I'm telling this story to everybody. I spent the last 2 years talking about the difference between, you know, we talk about Netflix and Blockbuster, right? And I told this story for the last 2 to 3, 4, 5 years about Netflix and Blockbuster, and how, you know, Netflix essentially put Blockbuster out of business, and, you know, people are still renting videos, just how they do it changed. And the moral of that story, most people think, is that Blockbuster didn't change. And what they don't understand is that Blockbuster actually almost won. You know, Blockbuster, there's a documentary out now with the CEO of Netflix where, I love this. He talks about this, and he talks about how they were actually scared, meaning at the time, a lot of people don't remember this, but Netflix originally had like DVD, like mail order DVDs, like from the grocery store. I don't know. I don't think you're old enough to remember that, but that's originally what Netflix was. It was mail order DVDs from the grocery store. There'd be a little box in a grocery store. And you look at that, and Blockbuster was the big player. Blockbuster had the market share. Blockbuster had everything, right? And so when Netflix started coming in and trying to change up how things are being done, Blockbuster was actually the one that created a program called Total Access. And Total Access, this was around 2002, 2003, 2004. It was the first company who created a hybrid model, meaning you can come to our stores or you can go online.
Yep.
And when Netflix saw this, the Netflix CEO testifies to this. When he saw this, he was like, oh God. Like, because they have the market share. So if they're first and they have market share and we're done.
Yep.
So Total Access comes out and Netflix checks it out and they're like, oh, thank God, it sucks. It's bad.
Yeah.
You know? And then all of a sudden, version 2 comes out about a year or two later. And Netflix goes and checks it out, and they're like, oh, it's better, but it's still not good. Thank God, because if it's good, we're screwed. Yep. Like, this isn't going to work, right? Then version 3 comes out, and Netflix CEO goes and checks it out, and he's like, oh God. You know, he's Paul Revere, British are coming. He's like, it's over. He's waving the flags. They have a meeting with their board. They are laying off thousands of Netflix employees, and it's all in a move to eventually go bankrupt, and they're going out of business because Blockbuster's going to win. Because this is the part that nobody pays. Blockbuster actually adjusted.
Yeah.
You know, everybody goes, oh, Blockbuster went out of business because they didn't understand. No. Blockbuster not only had the market share, they were first and they adjusted. What happened was was right after Netflix had that meeting and they made the decision to lay off thousands of people and go that route. Netflix or Blockbuster, for the first time in decades, their board got together and decided to not pay their executives their bonuses. And the CEO of Blockbuster, who created Total Access, went, screw all y'all, and he quit. And when he quit, the new guy that they brought in, he was a retail expert, which to a lot of people now, like they hear that and they're like, oh, that's crazy, that's stupid, like, you know, whatever, like why didn't they have somebody for the internet? The internet wasn't normal back then. It wasn't normalized. And so this guy comes in and his first move as the new CEO was get rid of Total Access. Get rid of Total Access. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, right? Yep. And so he cuts Total Access. Netflix has new life. They don't lay off the thousands of people. They stop the proceedings for bankrupt. They stop whatever. Ultimately, Netflix comes out and they win because Blockbuster, it wasn't that they didn't do the right thing, it's that they didn't keep doing the right thing. Okay. Right. And so at the end of the day, you know, you look at this and you look at these different revolutions that happen, whatever. The point I'm trying to make is that, you know, the world still spins like it does. It just creates new ways of doing things. And I don't know if people are really understanding like what this ChatGPT thing really does. Like it screws up everything right. or makes it better. But is it going to take jobs? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But the crazy thing is that talented people are always going to win. It's like people are now going to have to adjust and figure out, how do I work within an AI model to, because the creative is the content is no longer the creating an essay, creating a marketing plan, creating a whatever is no longer the game. Yep. I can talk into a system and do that probably better than anybody we know, right? It's going to pull all the smartest, whatever. It's a computer. Okay. The question is now, who's going to get creative with that technology and leverage it in a way, or know how to control it in a way, or know what to say to it, or know how to dictate to it, or know how to manipulate it to get the most out of it. And I think it creates this whole new thing that's now going to happen, right? And as I said, when you look at all the different revolutions, Google was huge because it was just, we had access to everything from a search perspective. Mm-hmm. Now it's not just search. We have that. Yep. Now it's an actual person that's doing this that I think is going to change everything. So with that being said, something for everybody to pay attention to. I don't know if you have anything to add. You said never even heard of ChatGPT.
No, so I mean, like, as somebody who's never heard of it, are there like any limitations to this? Because I feel like this could, I mean, aside from all the benefits that this could, you know, add to our everything. Honestly, every single economy or every single industry,
right?
I feel like there are a lot of downsides that could potentially come out of this.
Like what? Like what goes through your head when you hear that?
I just think, you know, there's a lot of power in that. I think, you know, it obviously adds great things, but I feel like you know, somebody who's maybe not 100% all there, you know, has those intentions to do something not great. I feel like there might be like it might get to a point where it's now a little dangerous.
No, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Like, so Elon Musk talks about this. I mean, there were movies that were made, where these computers go bad and stuff, and not for nothing, this is the exact stuff that they're talking about. Right. These things are programmed to win.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like. So when you affirm something they're doing, they stay on that track.
Yep.
So then it becomes, do they start manipulating people? And only because they're you know, they start interacting with people, and then those people start to interact back and give them the affirmation that they want. And then the computer, the AI, sees that as a win and goes further and further and continue. And doesn't even, like, they can learn to manipulate because they're trained to win. They're trained to get the person, you know, what it is they want, or is, you know, so it's a very weird road. And like I said, there's movies about this, there's books about this kind of stuff. You know, what do you do with a system that's technically smarter than anyone on the planet? And it's never going to have real emotion, but it can fake emotion.
Right.
You know what I mean? It can fake empathy.
Yep.
It can fake those things because it's taught, you know, to adapt and to learn these things. So it's a very interesting thing. That's a whole other topic for a whole other thing, as far as what kind of safeguards are put in place. from a business perspective, there's so much available now, you know, for people who decide to use this kind of a thing. And it will. I mean, it's gonna, for those of you that are listening to this and you're the first time you've heard of it, you're like, ChatGPT, what are you talking about? Just watch. Go back and listen to this a year down the road. Go back and listen to this 2 years down the road. Like, this is freaking crazy. Like, this, what they've developed here is crazy. When you get on there and you mess around, it's nutty, like what this thing can do and how smart it is and how it can think and how you can talk to it like a person, and how it deciphers things and how it's like I said, content and, you know, just, you know, writing things or putting stuff on or whatever is a commodity now. It's just the creative becomes even more powerful now, you know, so it's an interesting thing to say the least.
Oh yeah.
So for anybody listening, maybe not the normal kind of thing that we talk about, whatever, but it makes a point that, you know, in an effort to be keeping up with what's happening and what's going on. I mean, this thing will be writing listing descriptions for you better than you do it yourself. Like, you can literally get in there and be like, write me a 100-word listing description for my MLS. I'm in the Midwest. You know, make the house sound sexy but affordable, and, you know, whatever. And like, you literally just give it all the description you want, and it'll just like, it'll roll it out for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's, and again, that takes away, we talk about take away jobs. You know, there's people who write descriptions. There's people who do that kind of stuff and they're great with it. You know, that's their forte. If you can just hop on your app and say, write me, and it writes it better than anybody's ever going to. And that's what's going on. You know, make sure you don't repeat anything we've done before, you know, use what, you know, whatever, like, you can be as descriptive as you want to be and it will respond. So definitely something to keep an eye on. I'd recommend that everybody listening here go and check it out, go and play around with it, go and whatever. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out about it. But it's a game changer for sure. So check it out, guys. If you like this episode, make sure you, as usual, give us a great review, a 5-star or written, and make sure you share it with someone else. This is maybe not, well, for some of you, this will be a very interesting, you know, commentary. And then for others of you, you're like, I don't even know what that is. It's not going to change anything, whatever. We'll see. Okay. You know, this to me is the next level of, this is Google on steroids, like way beyond like anything that, and I'm interested to see how Google's going to respond, because Google in their lab has been trying to create something.
Yeah.
Just ChatGPT is the first one that came out that really, you know, hit the marketplace, but believe me, they're all trying to create it.
Yeah.
Because it's so in depth. So it's going to be interesting, but I think that's the next wave. So we shall see. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We'll be out with another episode real soon. Talk to you guys soon.